Good evening. Today is Thursday of Holy Week, normally called or referred to as Maundy Thursday. Maundy is a term that in 2020 we don't use very often, but Maundy comes from the Latin word mandatum, which means mandate. And so we think of Maundy Thursday as the day in which Jesus gave a mandate. As we read from Matthew 26, beginning with verse 26, it says, while they were eating, Jesus took some bread, and after a blessing, he broke it, and he gave it to the disciples, and he said, take, eat, this is my body. And when he had taken a cup and given thanks, he gave it to them, saying, drink from it, all of you. For this is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins. I love that verse. Verse 28 says, when Jesus says, the reason for Holy Communion. Jesus is in the upper room with the disciples. It's Thursday of Holy Week. In a short time, he's going to be arrested. The next morning, he's going to be crucified. But on this evening, Jesus is in the upper room with the 12 disciples. And during the Passover meal, Jesus institutes something new. He takes bread and he blesses it, and he breaks it and he gives it to them. And he holds up the cup and he says, this is my blood of the new covenant. Do this in remembrance. But verse 28 of Matthew 26 is so powerful. For Jesus says, for this is my blood of the new covenant, which is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sin. For me, it's good to be reminded that Jesus, his blood poured out on the cross, was for the forgiveness of sin. And turning to Luke chapter 22, verse 14. When the hour had come, he reclined at the table, and the apostles with him. And he said to them, I have earnestly desired to eat the Passover with you before I suffer. For I say to you, I shall never again eat it until it is fulfilled in the kingdom of God. And I have to ask myself as I read this, what does he mean? I will not eat this meal again until it is fulfilled in the kingdom of God. What does he mean by that? He will not eat of the Passover meal again until it, is he referring to the Passover? Is he referring when the Israelites were in bondage and they slaughtered lambs and they covered their doorpost with blood and the angel of death passed over their house and their firstborn did not die? And so is Jesus saying that this is fulfilled through his death and his resurrection? The Passover is fulfilled once and for all in the kingdom of heaven. And as we turn to the Gospel of John, in the Gospel of John, Jesus in the upper room with the 12 apostles, he takes off his outer garments and he puts on an apron. And he gets down on his knees and he washes the feet of those 12 apostles. And Jesus in John 13:34 says, a new commandment I give you, that you love one another, even as I have loved you, that you also love one another. Jesus is giving us the mandate to love one another. And ladies and gentlemen, that in itself is not new. Back in Leviticus 19:18, God, through Moses, tells us to love one another. But what Jesus adds here, to love one another as I have loved you. And so the mandate for this Thursday, the mandate of Jesus for this Holy Week is number one, that we should celebrate Holy Communion in remembrance of what Jesus has done for us upon the cross and with the empty tomb. And secondly, the mandate is that we are to serve one another. And thirdly, the mandate is that we are to love one another as Jesus loved us. It is a sacrificial love. Be blessed.